All right, we're ready. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Signing.
Like you broke it? Yeah. Leaving it yet?
Yeah, sure.
Very nice.
There you go. It's catching on. I can see the bottom left speaker.
Yeah, we're. Yeah.
We also mute the participants on. Yeah, what if you click on the participants at the bottom?
Right here.
Okay.
Usually I'm able to click on him.
Yeah.
To be able to mute. That's a little good, yeah, so, right? We are supposed to be recording, yes.
Yep. No, we can let it go if it's an issue. Deal with it.
Meeting recording, I heard it, okay, it did say it, correct, meeting, yeah.
You guys ready?
Okay, sorry about that.
All right, thank you everyone for attending tonight. Today is the regular monthly meeting of the Clinton Inland Wetlands Commission. It's Tuesday, October 3rd. The time is 7:07 p.m. Sure. Call roll for tonight.
Edward Alberino,
Present.
Michael Florio,
Here.
Robert LaFrance, Bertram Schmitz,
Here.
Ryan Tardiso,
Here.
Scott Harley,
Here.
Lawrence Edwards,
Here. Did we see Larry or Robert? Larry, you're voting tonight.
and you also have to appoint an acting secretary.
Mike, or do you do acting secretary? You don't need to talk. Oh, I had it done. Don't know. I got it. All right, so first order of business, we need to make a motion of approval for the regular minutes from the September 5th regular monthly meeting.
I'll make a motion of approval for the September 5th minutes for the regular meeting.
Do I have a second? Everybody,
First one,
what you heard? Any discussion? Minutes? Okay, those voting in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay, motion carries. Number 3 on the agenda tonight is receipt of applications, and we must be setting site walk. So I believe there's 2 on our list, plus a third that we'll need to add by motion tonight. That's not on our agenda. So as far as site walks, are we still good doing Thursdays until we start running out of daylight? So we're gonna do it, yeah, sure. 5:30 start dates.
5:30.
5:30, is everyone okay doing 5:30? Okay. Thursday.
You okay with that?
We have a date, like, Sherry, 26th.
That's a good. Is it time?
Is when you want to hold it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time's all right.
Well-
Take your date.
it depends on if you determine if you're gonna have a public hearing. Because I have to do this, you may have.
Wait a minute, this might be it. I'm kind of missed it. I think I missed it.
If you're dialing in on Zoom, we could hear you. Do you mind just muting your microphone? It's Jay's iPad. Sorry, say that again?
We're running out of, space. It was the third,
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
need to have a special meeting. One. Or that one.
Mm-hmm.
And the earliest we could have it would be. It would be a sidewalk. And then.
Oh,
Public
could
hearing
we-
if you need to.
Sorry, so we can't do a sidewalk earlier, so it's like
You
that?
can do sidewalk.
Okay,
Question, what?
yeah, no special meetings for applications, just setting sidewalks.
Okay,
Okay, so what do you guys think? We could do the 12th, the 19th, the 22nd, or 26th, or the 2nd.
12th with the rain date of the 19th.
That work for everybody? It would be, next Thursday.
Just,
You won't be here. Are you in Florida the following?
No, I'm here for, going to 7 for the 15th.
Just so you know, for me, I'm not gonna be here the next two, I'll be here this Thursday, but then I'm not here the 12th and then
Okay,
I'm here weekends.
what about the 26th?
Works for me.
Yeah, and then a rain date of the 2nd?
Yeah.
Okay, let's set our sidewalks for Thursday, the 26th, starting at 5:30. And then we'll do rain date the following Thursday, and then that'll
be November 7th.
be November 2nd, that'll be then before our November meeting. Okay,
That's what, 3 weeks from the Thursday?
yeah,
Thursday the 26th?
Yes.
okay, so the first one, it's gonna be IWC 23-10. It's gonna be 8 and 10 Jefferson Circle. Charles Eaton PE is the applicant. Red Wing Foundation is the owner of 8 Jefferson Circle, and David and Carol Schmardo are the owners of 10. The application is for a regulated activity in or within 50 feet of the inland wetlands or a water course. It's for an existing drainage pipe to be removed and replaced with a new 24-inch HDPE. So there's assessor's map 65, block 49, lot 18 to 15, and lot 10, number 10 is number 16 in the zone R20. So I guess Mr. Eaton, are you here this evening?
Yes.
Okay,
Hi,
how are you?
everyone. Hi, I'm Chuck Eaton, town engineer. So I'm working with DPW on replacing that. It's an existing 18-inch pipe. We're looking to replace it with a 24-inch pipe. I don't know if you have the plan by any chance.
We can bring that up.
Okay, so we had discussed this with you last month. And I did think that there were wetland soils at the outlet of the pipe, so the wetland scientists did flag the wetlands that are there, which are shown on the plan. Basically, the pipe outlets to the wetlands, I believe the pipe has probably most likely created the wetlands over time. And so we are proposing to replace the pipe in the same location, but we're gonna add a riprap outlet pad to prevent any erosion or scouring at the end of the pipe, and so that extends into the wetlands probably 12 feet or so. So we're not planning on materially changing anything that's out there or anything like that. It's just a pipe replacement with new outlet protection. So, and everything does fall within the town's drainage easement. And we do have permission from the two property owners to do this. The issue that's occurring right now is at the intersection of Lincoln and Jefferson. Flooding is occurring, and it's actually occurring to the point where it's starting to the flooding is encroaching on number 10 Jefferson. So it's somewhat imperative that the town work to remedy the situation. Looks like pipe roots, it looks like tree roots have grown into the pipe and have plugged the pipe, and also based on drainage study, it kind of looks like the pipe is under capacity a little bit. So,
Okay. Any questions about the application? Okay. So I'll take a motion to receive the application, set a site walk. We said Thursday, the 26th, 5:30, with the rain date of the 2nd, same time.
I'll, I've been here.
I'll make, well, you know, I'd like to make a motion to approve IWC 23 dash, receive IWC 23 10, 8 to 10 Jefferson Circle. You want to read the whole thing?
No, that's fine. And set a site walk, we said
Sidewalk,
26th at 5:30,
26 at 5:30.
and then rain date the following Thursday, same time, 5:30. Okay, do I have a second? Mike, for your seconds. Any discussion?
Yeah, Adam, remember we spoke, maybe we could do, facilitate this, we could do something.
It's,
I talked to you about, you know,
I'll go through the chair, if you want me to. So there's, you have
Oh,
the
yes.
ability, if you wanted to act on something sooner, you would need to set a special meeting in order
is
to,
there possible, because,
that's,
he forwarded me information, I gave it all to Abby, it's horrendous up there. Kids can't go to school, actually, they documented all the school miss, and, they can't even leave the house.
Sounded like the issue
It's-
was that,
It's that bad.
I could certainly think, it sounded like the issue is that we wouldn't have enough people. to
What,
go to the
is
site.
that?
It sounded like the issue was that we wouldn't have enough people to go to the sidewalk.
No, I'm just saying that if it rains, his children can't go to school, they documented, it's so bad, there's all the pipes gone. Disintegrated, so I forwarded everything to Abby, and Abby said that, and they can.
So are you asking for like a special meeting?
Yeah, I like that.
We.
Help them out in the town, can go up there and work, get them to work, get them to go ahead. There's a pipe, a lot of pipe was destroyed.
I don't know what you're gonna say, but go ahead.
so what I was gonna say, it's the discretion of the commission, whether the commission as a whole wants to
That's what I'm saying.
expedite
Yeah.
a decision-making process for a town project. I think it's important because the entire commission hasn't had the benefit of conversations. So there was an email that went through that's part of the record for this, where the adjacent property owner or the underlying property owner was on one side provided some extra information to Eddie, which he forwarded to us, so that's in your record.
But I
so
never
everyone can
answered,
see.
I never responded to you.
So everyone can see the same information, so it's all in there.
I never responded to you, Dave, did I respond to you?
No,
So-
but that was my,
Alright, let's,
is it for my attendance tonight?
But I think the issue is, from the commission's perspective, is if there is a desire to expedite review of a town project, the earliest you could act on it would be October 26th, if I'm correct,
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's so if you were going to go in that direction and you wanted to schedule a special meeting in advance of the November 14th meeting, that would be sort of your earliest target date to it. That is the discretion of the commission, and you can make that determination. If you think you want to go in that direction, I would recommend scheduling it now, and if you want to wait until the site walk, you can do that too. The issue is that we'll have to advertise appropriately, and so I think that if you don't do it on the 26th, I think you guys are gonna look at potential other dates and whether or not that was even possible, or at that point, you just wait till the 14th. That is your discretion.
so you're saying the 14th is,
November 14th is the next regular
oh,
scheduled.
there's
It's
election day,
And
okay,
they use the auditorium,
Got it.
all three rooms.
so you're asking, you would like, so how would, so you're
Well, I'm
asking to
just
hold
saying,
a special meeting?
After reading his email, I'm gonna be quite frank here, after reading his email. When he's got documentation, which I didn't see or nothing, because I forwarded everything to Abby, I said, I'm not even answer him, but. His kids can't go to school, it's real hard, it's hard, it's a hard thing, it really is, so. You know, he's got document, oh, Stacy missed, I didn't talk to David, because I told him I really can't talk to him, and I informed Sherry, and I informed Ab, and I forwarded the email to Ab. It came from Mr. Smartell that, and I will for the record, Dave and I have known each other for over 20 years in the fire department, so. And I told him I really can't discuss anything, but I did go look, it's all ledge up there, so. The piping is too small, and it needs to be fixed, and the guy, his kids can't go to school, I mean, it's ridiculous.
So we've held special meetings before.
Yes, we have.
I guess my only question is, so it would be 2 weeks. You'd be saving 2 weeks. Now, I assume this project has to go out to bid.
No, the town's gonna do it themselves.
Okay. When do they have like, are they waiting on this permit?
Yes. Do we have to go see it? Do we have?
No, we don't need to go see
Okay,
it.
so like it was approve it today and get it done.
Because you can't
Can't
Can't approve it tonight because we can't approve it the same night as receiving it.
Okay.
So we have a meeting to approve to go, he's been out there, you got the town engineer, has been out
You
there.
have to wait 14 days.
Alright, so we gotta wait for.
We gotta wait 14 days before we can.
From the receipt of the application.
Okay, so when we said this meeting for 14 days, or. Any rain, what happens in the winter days? What do you do in the winter? Oh, ice. I mean, it's.
Well, we're not taking testimony.
Right now, Scott, right now you have a motion to receive and set a sidewalk,
Yep.
and
we're
you haven't
discussing.
acted on that. So
No, we're still in
discussion.
discussion. So, all right, we're talking dates. So if everyone's amenable to holding a special meeting to push this application through, I would show up for that. We would just need at least 4 of us or quorum.
Can you do a Zoom call for that day?
It can be at every meeting, as long as we advertise it appropriately, you're setting special meetings, we just need to make sure it's posted appropriately, and we can do that.
It's a virtual.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
so it's.
We don't need to do a sidewalk if we
No.
don't think, I mean, it's a small project. We all saw the plan.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna see it.
you would do a motion to.
You're right, he just said we don't.
we can amend the motion to remove the sidewalk and then we can set a special meeting. When would you guys want to hold it? You need at least 14 days to advertise.
So let's do 14 days from today.
That would be, no, you can't do that.
That's what I said, Dave.
Would be the 18th is the soonest?
No, 19th, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 14.
Or you
The
wouldn't
14th
advertise
day
it?
would be, no, we don't have to advertise that for meeting.
It would be the 17th.
I think that the 26th was set at the earliest date when you have staff support available, when staff
Yes,
has an
staff-
evening free to come and to be there based on other commitments. And that's-
Right, and
Yeah, but with a 4-person quorum and on Zoom, we may be able to get it done.
What I'm saying is in order to have staff support to run that meeting.
Got it.
Right,
Saturday
that's-
night.
Yeah.
and Kathy's not available.
Right.
So you don't have staff that night.
What about the 19th?
Not that
Following week, 26th, or because we looked at other nights, but there's other meetings and other rooms and things, so, or, there's actually our.
On the 26th is when we were gonna do our
Right. it was 26th.
sidewalk.
That's why we,
So we could technically do sidewalks of the other properties, and then we could do a special meeting
We
here.
did that before.
Yeah, could we do that? Could we do our site walks on the 26th, then come back here, hold a special meeting just for this application?
Yeah, you know what, cause it's coming up to November, it's cold, you know, it rains, there's stuff.
Anyway,
Okay,
All right,
okay,
everyone can do that? Okay, so why don't we
let's, why,
find a
why
time?
don't,
let's do it.
Site walk at
30, you got 2
Well,
other.
if we're doing
sidewalks?
5:30
We'll
for
have two.
sidewalks, and if there was 2, that'd be, what do we do, 15 minutes?
6:30.
Yeah, that'd be great.
6:30.
Okay, so Eddie, can you amend
why
your,
don't we just
Yeah, I'll
withdraw-
amend my
why don't you
motion.
withdraw-
Withdraw the site.
No, okay, we're gonna, you
withdraw the
amended the
sidewalk?
motion, amended the motion. No sidewalk.
Set a special
And
meeting,
set special meeting,
6:30.
10/26, 6:30. Okay, and, you could act on the motion to amend it.
Are we gonna do a Zoom? No, just come back here. Just
Come back.
come back here.
Well, it
Just
would
do
be-
sidewalks, come back here, do
You could come
meeting.
back here and do it.
Yeah, and then they go. Okay,
But it would be a hybrid meeting,
thank you very much.
Yeah, it would be a
Yes.
hybrid meeting.
Yeah, we'd have to keep it open.
Okay, so Eddie amended the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mike second. Any discussion on the amended motion?
No, sir.
So no more sidewalk, we're just gonna meet back here 6:30.
Great, thank you.
Any discussion? All right, all those voting in favor of receiving the application, set a special meeting. Say aye. Oppose or abstain? Motion carries.
Okay, that was a motion to amend the, first motion.
Okay, now we need to actually,
Now you need to actually,
so do I need a motion to approve Eddie's motion? Is that what you're asking?
no, we don't do that.
Okay,
It was your
yeah, he was through, yeah. All right. Okay, item agenda number B, this is IWC 23-11. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is 11 Ladera Lane. Edward Casella is the applicant. Andrew V and Randy and Christine Lozano are the owners. Application for regulated activity within 50 feet of an inland wetlands or a water course. This is for an in-ground swimming pool and patio. Assessors map 73, block 44, lot 4-2-11 in the zone R8.
Hi, good evening, Ed Casella, representing Andrew and Christine Randy, owners of 11 Ladera Lane. It is a 12-year saga that we're not gonna get into hopefully too much detail, but they're seeking wetlands approval to install a pool in the backyard of their property at 11 Ladera Lane. And when they purchased the house in 2010, they purchased it based upon an as-built map and an existing condition which was out on the property, which turned out to be a lot of fill in a conservation area. And when they realized that in 2012, they met and had fairly substantial discussions with Tom Lane, Willie Fritz, because it really impacted their ability to use their property. There was a conservation line that was within feet of their back door, but yet they had this huge flat, you'll see it, backyard that was all filled with a rock retaining wall, then an area, and then the wetlands. So when they realized the extent of the 50-foot, it eliminated a lot of their ability to use their backyard. Tom Lane had issued the CO, so it was a little bit of a problem from the town's perspective, because there was clearly activity that was done where it shouldn't have been done, and they purchased, unfortunately, in reliance on that. The good news is we worked with Tom at that point in time. I actually got involved, Greg Fettis was involved, and worked to come up with a resolution where there would be a modified conservation easement. The pool was shown on the plan at that point in time. And everything was, we thought, good. Fast forward, their kids are now old enough. They went to town hall to install a swimming pool, and there's really very little in the file documenting anything that went on. So we worked with Abby and Kathy quite a bit. They've heard this saga many times, unfortunately, in many different venues, to try to get back to this place where they're eligible to come to this commission to seek permits for the pool that they're trying to install. So what happened was their original conservation, Tom Lane signed off on it. Nothing was in the record. He never signed any documents that authorized it. Your new town council is like, he couldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that. He didn't really have the authority to do it. So these poor people are left standing there going, well, wait, what happened? So we've taken the process to go to Red Wing Foundation, which is the beneficiary of the conservation easement, got their approval to amend the conservation restriction, went to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So some of these guys have heard this story before, got their approval to amend the conservation restriction, and most recently, the town council approved amending. So now they don't have to deal with the legal issue of putting a pool in the conservation restriction. Now their backyard is available for activities, including things like installing a patio and a pool. So now we're here for you all to decide on the inland wetlands portion of the application, which is, will the installation of the swimming pool in the backyard of this property have an impact on the wetlands that can't be mitigated through different measures. So what we've done is come up with a plan. They're using Torres and Stone, who's designed everything. It's going to be pervious pavers, so the stormwater impact will be minimized. They're using a mineral pool. We're working with Greg Fettis, talking about trying to slope it away from the wetlands that are in the rear, because it's pretty close to the wetlands that are in the rear of the property, but there's a decent distance to the wetlands that are on the other side of the driveway over here, so there's ways that it can be mitigated. But what we're hoping for this evening is that, you know, the commission understands that, I think you'll see this when you're out on the site walk. Basically, the developer, Cornerstone Construction, when they were doing these lots, they originally got approved 2002, redone in 2005, the crash, right? And then they started ramping up again in 2009, 2010, and they were just kind of doing what they wanted. And a lot of lots, once Andrew and Christine figured out how hamstrung they were, they started looking around the neighborhood and actually worked with Tom Lane, who ended up issuing cease and desist orders against the developer because he was basically just filling backyards for people. That's what they have, right? This isn't like virgin land that's an immaculate buffer from the wetlands. It's filled up to 5 feet. And then there's a nice kind of rock, natural rock, and then boom, drops down, and you'll see where the original grade is, and there's a decent 10-foot buffer, and then the start of the wetlands. So where the pool's going in is on the good side, closer to the house from where the rock wall is. So it's basically being constructed in an area that was already filled 12, 13, 14 years ago. So again, we're hoping that you don't determine that there's a significant impact and that this property can go forward. We can continue forward with the permitting process here. So that's kind of the big picture overview of the application. We have additional materials that we want to at least submit. So you have, I don't think we have copies of enough copies for everybody, but I'll make sure these get uploaded onto the system so that you all will have. Yeah, I'll keep one for you. Hold on 1 second. But this just shows, for example, like the map that they originally got that doesn't even reference the conservation easement. It shows kind of when you drive out there now, you're going to notice kind of the fill in the stone walls, and some of the other documents that were able to locate in the record. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
So just question as regard to the conservation easement, have you received all signatures that is now?
So Attorney Casella has brought over the pages executed by the property owners, by the Redmond Foundation, was Chairman Ron today. So we have planning and zoning. So my next step is tomorrow morning to walk it up. So actually, I the time to come down so we can notarize his signature. He was authorized on behalf of the council. So that will finalize the signatures. The next step is, my understanding is from Attorney Casella, the Mylar has been printed. That will come down, the amended language of the restriction and the Mylar will go together to the town clerk. We'll get a receipt that said it was recorded, that both are on the land records, will have all references, and that will enable you to look at this without the burden of the conservation restriction in that area. So that should happen prior to your site walk.
Okay, more so the next month meeting.
Yeah, it will absolutely be a
It'll
much
happen
before
this week.
decision, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we can't technically
Understood.
act on it if it isn't finalized, but it sounds like it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have stuff you want to enter
Yeah.
into the record?
Yeah, well, I'll give one to Sherry and then, I don't know, we only have 3 extra ones, but, who wants?
You'll add.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, I'll upload, make sure everything is uploaded as well,
Okay,
and it's.
right, any questions from the commission?
Do you know how many feet you are exactly from the wetlands where your intentional pool is supposed to be?
Yes. Yes, I asked that question because I thought it might be asked. Can't read this. The pool will be 14.8, 15 feet from the edge of the wetlands.
Any other questions from Brendan?
You said it's a mineral pool?
Yes.
I'm not familiar with mineral pools. Is it, once it's designed as a mineral pool, does it stay a mineral pool? Can it be moved to chlorine or saltwater at a later date?
Yeah, go ahead.
It could be, I'm Andrew Randy, by the way. Hi. It's a new innovation, EPA is recommending it, it's a mineral pool slash you could turn it into a salt pool.
Okay.
But to turn it into a chlorine, you're gonna have to have a whole new system and so forth, so once it's either a salt or a mineral pool. There's not too many options out there.
What is the water? What's the, not like mineral.
It's just with minerals, from what I read on it and from what the distributors gave it.
The minerals provide, for lack of a better term, chlorination of the water, right? So without using the chemicals.
You've been trying to get the pool for 10 years, huh?
All right, one conversation at a time, sorry guys. It's hard to hear online. Okay, any other questions from commission? No, okay, so we've taken motion to accept the application, set a site walk. We're gonna do this one on the 26th at 5:30.
I'll make a motion to accept the application IWC 23-11 Columbia Plain. For 26. And we'll do this one, the other one's gone, so we'll do this one at 5:30.
You have one at 5:30.
No, we canceled.
No,
Okay, that's right, I'm sorry, we canceled it.
So we'll do it for 5:30 on the 26th with a rain date of the second at 5:30. Rain date.
Do I get in? Larry seconds, any discussion in the motion? All those voting in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained? Okay, motion carries.
Great, thank you.
We'll see you at your house, 5:30 on the 26th, just to say.
Hot dogs in there.
Pizza.
You know, you
So we don't have on the agenda, applications received after the filing of the agenda, do we need to add that as a line, and then?
We can just add that.
what are we doing?
For the next meeting. Yeah. Just add the application.
Okay, do you have the application number? You want to put it in?
2212,
Okay,
327 East Main Street.
okay,
Great Venice, the applicant, and it's for a new retail mixed use.
okay. So I'll need, we have a third application that was just received or submitted yesterday that we're going to add to the agenda tonight. So I'll need a motion to add to the agenda IWC 23-12.
I'll make a motion to add to the agenda, IWC 23-12.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Vote in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained? Okay, so now it's on the agenda. So this is going to be IWC 23-12. It is 327 East Main Street. Greg Bettis is the applicant. And I don't have anything else other than that.
Okay, good evening. Greg Bettis, I'll be brief, because I think it's gonna be a significant activity and I think it's gonna be a public hearing, so I don't wanna.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, and we're disturbing some wetlands and building a little bit and creating wetlands and so I think. I'll show you just a very.
Yeah, just briefly tell us what you're doing so that.
Where this wants to be, but.
Good there.
So this is, back in the late 80s, early 90s, the wetlands were flagged, that's the dashed blue line here, we had it recently flagged. And it either grew or was misrepresented back then. Anyway, our proposal is, to disturb this hatched area here and then create wetlands and revitalize or kind of rejuvenate the wetlands that are there, which are not, I would say they're not high quality, but I'll have our wetlands guy here. We'll discuss it in detail. Basically over the years, fill has been placed. Fill has been placed and the lawn has been extended kind of towards the wetlands. So if you go out there after rain, yes, it's spongy and wet. The mower can't even mow it, but it is grass, so it's been filled, grass planted, trying to extend the property towards the wetlands. So we would be looking to get rid of that filled wetlands and kind of turn it back to a wetland.
I'm sorry, sir, what's the exact address?
327 East Main Street.
Thank you.
So we are proposing a 10,000 square foot building, parking in the front, a drive around the back, mixed use. The septic system would be in the kind of the northwest corner where there's better soils. It's also in the flood zone. So it'll be Phil brought in to bring it up to grade. So I don't know how much you want me to get into the details of it. It is, in my opinion, and wait until I would schedule a public hearing personally, because our time frame is a little bit rushed, and I apologize for that. Chuck Rose here with me tonight. He's the purchaser of the property. He's got a store in town. Kind of critical we move this thing along in order for him to kind of stay in town with the business. So I want to say a few words, Chuck.
Question, my name is Chuck Tuttle. I do own a in-town business liquor shop over on East Main Street. I don't know if I ever go there, but it's just a little liquor store. What I'm trying to do is keep it in town, build a new building. There is a fairly large tax base with this building because it's good size and new. But to develop a property it is getting overgrown, so the wetlands, so sample scientist that we had there, he explained a lot of stuff to me that I don't understand. But there is a lot of stuff in that wetland that is destroying the wetland plants. And he's recommending how to mitigate those, pull them out, put new in, change the grade of the soil because you want to preserve the wetlands. So there's, there's a bunch of building this, we're gonna do a lot of beautification of wetlands too.
And you said this is a mixed use application?
Apartments on the top,
Okay, liquor store on the bottom?
retail on the bottom, not all liquor stores, so
Okay, multiple retail.
multiple retail, yeah.
And there's an existing building on the lot now?
There
Is
is
that
an
gonna be
antique store there,
demolished?
yes.
Okay,
And several sheds behind the antique store. That would be removed.
The antique store that's there is, I mean, it's an old house and it's gonna destroy itself, it's already collapsing.
And they do have some pump just that's actually pumping and adding water to that grass area. Kind of a constant, I would say constant flow, but it goes up when I was there at least every 10 minutes.
I was surprised by it, because it doesn't look like that from the street, but it is that way.
Like that way here.
So we would appreciate it if you would schedule a sidewalk and a public hearing for the November 14th meeting if possible.
well, would we need to determine if it's a significant activity now
So that
prior to the public hearing?
it would be, if you're gonna set the public hearing, you can also set it because of a public interest determination, and you can, sort of say, okay, it may be a significant impact if you haven't had the time to take a look at it. This came in yesterday. Right, so as staff, and we all acknowledge that, and there's a compressed schedule, and there are sort of forces at play here, but there hasn't been a full vetting or review of the materials. We had a conversation with Mr. Pettis earlier, and sort of said, okay, this is, some of the things that we see needing answers to as staff, it may not be the full list yet because we haven't gone to, sort of taken that deep dive. And so I think what I'm hearing tonight for the commission is there is an acknowledgement that there is a proposal to disturb impact wetland resource area. And so on that alone, under, I think it's what, section 2.10.1, you could make a determination saying that because the proposed project may affect wetland resource areas, you could make that determination now, schedule the sidewalk for the 26th when you're already out, and hold a public hearing or open the public hearing on the 15th. That said, that's a short window in which the rest of the information relative to the application needs to come in order for you to make that determination. So that's the sort of risk and element that you guys are taking into account.
And for us to get it reviewed, because there is critical information missing, it has to be referred out to our town engineer, potentially other professionals.
Yeah, and are they, like, I'm sure they haven't seen anything.
No one has seen it.
We
No one.
just got it yesterday, like at 4 o'clock.
And there are elements, while it's complete for an application to come and be received by the commission, there are missing elements relative to if a determination of significant activity is made. There are pieces of the application that are not in place now for anyone to be able to review yet. We're told they're forthcoming, which is fantastic, however, they're not in.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'm on the, gov.com. And, this is 327 East Main, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you got underground tanks there, you have tanks, it says, how many underground tanks?
I think you're looking at the existing property card.
It says everything is active.
So there's no underground tanks to my knowledge.
It is.
We're not proposing any underground tanks, except.
No, it says that there are
Underground
removed,
stormwater.
it says removed underground, I'm just asking, because it's on there, it says active.
I don't think, there's no underground tanks that I'm aware of.
Obviously, you're looking for as soon as possible, when it's realistic, right grounding for you, best case.
I mean, as soon as possible, really.
Yeah, we're happy to, we had a conversation this afternoon, so, you know, the circumstances out of our control brought us to the deadline yesterday. We're here before you, hopefully schedule the sidewalk. We're not disputing, it's significant activity, we're disturbing and filling wetlands. It's clear.
I want public hearings, I want people to know what I'm doing, I'm not trying to destroy them. I'm trying to make them better. The water's dumping from the street into that properties, which is an old culvert, crappy stream that's.
So all that, we can only move so fast.
Yeah, we're not asking you to move any faster than the dates.
You know,
that are set.
you had mentioned that,
I mean, we go now, I got a huge flash.
We don't have, the thing is too, we don't have enough information yet.
Right, and we're
Send-
here to provide
Right,
that.
but if it has to go to town engineer, if it has to go to a third party soil
Yeah.
scientist, they need adequate time.
Right.
We don't even have it yet,
Yeah, we'll
so they
provide
need
that.
time to provide those things to them
We're
to do their
prepared
review.
to do all that.
And
as
they
well.
need enough time to get that done, so I'm not sure when that'll be complete.
So the things to think through on the arc of the application is it's submitted now to tee it up for wetland review and then to be able to make application to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which has not yet been made, which my understanding may come in while this public hearing is still in process. And so there's a staggered element that folks are trying to move through. And so I think the big thing to think through here is, and this is more for the applicant's knowledge and sort of full disclosure, is that there may be amendments or changes or some other set of information that comes out through this process with this commission that would affect potential future applications with another commission. If materials aren't received in time, this is sort of for the commission and for you guys, if materials are not received in time to provide at least 2 weeks of review time for qualified professionals to do their review, that's the engineering review specifically, where we don't hold credentials in the office, there may be a need to request extensions. And so just putting it out there that, you know, we will, you know, certainly as staff will expedite whatever we can procedurally in the back of house, but we can go as far as we can with materials we receive. So we'll do everything we can to make sure that our reviews are timely, but that's just the caveat of the time frame of the application.
So yeah, we couldn't rule on it without having engineer
No.
review, if we
No,
don't have that by next.
We wouldn't expect,
Okay,
we expect to have everything that the staff is and the commission prior to the sidewalk. And I would say even a week prior to the sidewalk, so November 14th, probably gives like 3+ weeks for staff. And hopefully it's quicker that we have time to respond to it, but we don't plan on cutting any corners here. We know, you know, we know what we got ahead of us. We know we need to, you know, create more wetlands than we're disturbing. So we're fully prepared. When we walk the site, you'll see it's you wouldn't know there's wetlands there unless you knew there was wetlands there. So, I mean, the grass is, you can see.
Yeah, I know that site real well, I used to go to the antiques, so every Sunday,
Yeah.
if it had rained, a lot of times they wouldn't even hold it, it's just marsh out there.
Right. Yeah, I'm up on the right all the way up.
Yeah.
But we also talked about the possibility we might need a third party review on the wetlands too.
So I think, so don't get Richard Sarsky, because I think he delineated the first time. No offense, Rich. But, you know, I don't know what happened over time, that was 30+ years ago, so. It was sort of a joke, but do what you need to do.
So can we set, can we set a site walk? With stipulations that certain things need to be met, that our internal staff has enough time, I mean. At some point, our staff may come to us and say, like, you guys do the sidewalk, but we haven't figured anything out yet.
So we can hold a site walk, it would be the public hearing.
Yeah.
I mean, we could schedule that tonight,
Sure.
right,
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
next monthly meeting.
Yeah.
It would just be that you need to get your application materially complete so that we can send it out for engineering.
And if for whatever reason, November 14th, that's at any point, staff determines or chair determines that. We're not even anywhere near close enough, then yes.
Well, and you have 6 weeks too, it's a long month and then.
Right, and that's part of the reason too, because now all of a sudden, if we were getting accepted in November.
It's holidays.
You got, yeah, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and we're also.
So we could do the sidewalk on the 26th.
26.
Yeah,
So it'd be a motion to receive.
Yeah.
Set a sidewalk for the 26th at. Well,
I got one at 5:30.
5:45.
So 5:45 at least.
And then also to set a public hearing.
Yeah.
For
We got flashlights.
What do you want to say?
I'll bring extras.
For the 14th.
14.
Okay. So, is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Setting a public hearing right off the bat?
Yeah.
I'll motion for public hearing on that.
Yeah.
28.
So let's
I'll second that.
make a motion to set a sidewalk. Well, make a motion to receive, and then we'll do a
I'll
sidewalk,
make a motion to receive.
and then for the
Do what motion to
26th,
receive is
25,
next night.
5:35 p.m.
for the rain date.
And rain date of November 2nd.
He's making the
First.
motion.
November 2nd.
Larry's making the motion.
At 5:45. And
He was hoping.
make a motion to do that. And at 327 East Main Street.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
You'll second it?
so hold on, Terry's right, so,
Keep in mind, you know,
receive,
even though, you know, you wanna do good things with the wetlands, you know, you can have, there's a lot of things involved with wetland scientists and stuff, so. And, you know, get some good info you can to do
On
the
the
right thing.
26th.
Do you want to set up, the public hearing too,
Ryan?
for November 14th?
We can set the public hearing for.
November 14th,
and a regular.
Motion?
Oh, wait a
make a
minute.
motion for that.
Make a motion to.
All right, what about significant, is it gonna be a significant,
We're not voting on that
We're
now.
not voting on that.
We're
you just
We're
put
doing
public
it based
interest?
in the best interest of the public.
Okay, oh, so this is a new motion,
Yes.
okay. Who's making? okay,
Larry,
first-
Larry's
first
making.
of all,
Wait.
First,
Sorry.
Make a motion to set the public hearing.
no, you don't, you haven't voted on to receive and set aside.
Right, right.
So we have to do that before we set a public.
I made
hearing.
a motion, nobody
Okay.
seconded.
I'll second that.
Any seconds,
And-
okay, discussion, everyone okay with receiving the application, setting a sidewalk?
Yeah,
I'm not talking about public hearing yet.
With the rain date of,
There'll be
second.
Rainy day,
November
November 2nd.
Same time.
Well, we don't have to do 5:40, we do 5:30, because, we don't have to say.
No, we already.
No, we do,
did.
that's Lemon and Darren,
Yeah, yes.
the pool,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
alright. We good?
Yeah.
All those voting in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Okay, now we've received the application, set a site walk. Now can we make a motion to set a public hearing?
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing November 14th.
second,
at,
7 P.M.
So that's our normal.
Regular monthly meeting.
And because it's in the public interest.
Yes, in the best interest of the public. We're not voting on whether it's significant activity.
Right.
Okay, I second by Ryan. Any discussion, public hearing next month? Okay, all those voting in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Great, thank you guys. So we'll see you on your site 26 at 5:45.
Very good. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, item agenda number 4, this is request for release of bond, Gray Black Property Group, Mystic Construction, this is IWC 19-013R, Indian River Shops. 11 Killingworth Turnpike, the bond amount that's currently posted is $68,232, posted by Mystic Construction. They requested, again, second time they come back, requesting the release of our bond. Abby has staff recommendations. Would you mind?
Sure, so we went through, so the previous request came to you in January, it was denied at that time, it was the second time that the town engineer, the consulting town engineer, DTC, John Crackle had said over the years not to release the bond because the site was fully stabilized yet. What we took a look at, Kathy and I went out, walked the full site, the phasing of this original project, there were 3 construction phases that were permitted and bonding amounts that were set for each phase. Only the first phase of work was posted. There is some work in subsequent phases that was done, is now grass. There's some pieces that didn't exactly follow that phasing plan. But originally, the entire bond amount was $99,712. Of that, phase 1, $68,232 was posted. So there are 2 additional phases for which bonding is required, the hotel pad site, some of the stuff in the middle, and the pad on the north end that are still open work sites that don't have a sort of a time horizon yet established in which they may be completed. So a couple of things on this, the portion of the site that was required for phase 1 on that original 68,000 bond appears to be substantially complete. It has filled in, it has grown in more than when Kathy Rosnarski walked in originally and when DTC made their recommendation back in January. So under the growing season, things are more stabilized. You will see things along the edge of that site like decomposing hay bales. There is still some twine from those hay bales sort of in and intermixed with vegetation. There is still silt fence in some of those areas, so that it is important to know that the erosion sediment controls have not been removed. There may be some minor disturbance if those get removed, but substantially that first phase is stable. If the commission is of a mind to consider releasing any portion of the bond, the staff recommendation is not to release the entire 68, but to subtract out those phase 2 and 3s that are still open so that that money still stays and only release the portion associated with phase 1 or some portion thereof. That would be the recommendation. So again, we did not do another town engineer review, only because it was fairly clear what was reviewed before, why it wasn't approved, and why this was going forward. So, you know, now we want to necessarily take town engineer time and money to review something that we can clearly see was stable.
Can you check that out, like do 3 divide or something with that?
So again?
Yes.
Divide by 3?
So the bonding levels were set, and so phase 1 was the 68,232. Phase 2 was originally valued at 15,367. Phase 3 was 16,113. So the staff recommendation is that no more than 36,752 be released, so that you would maintain 31,480 to be retained for the remaining construction phases. That does not take into account any kind of inflation, you know, escalation of prices over the years, any of that kind of stuff. We're not sort of dinging folks for that sort of thing. But 99,000 should have been posted. It wasn't. And so this would be sort of the remaining that is only covering the open portions of the site. And so that would be the staff recommendation.
So they never gave the 99,000, they only gave the 68,000?
Correct, all records only.
Why didn't we get the 99,000?
That is a fair question. Prior to my time, I'm not sure.
Why do we have to release it?
Yeah.
You're not obligated to release anything.
It's a request, so it's just.
So if,
I was denying because he was supposed to give us 99,000.
right, well, we have 68K of their money right now. And we believe that phase 2 and 3 are significantly smaller bonds, are a total of 31.5, basically 31,480. It's not, I mean, I don't know whose fault it is, but I'm not sure that anybody needs to be penalized for it exactly personally.
What would the interest on 31,000 be?
The work's done, I mean.
No, we're building a hotel.
There's nothing to do.
Yes, we would keep the bond amounts for those two pieces,
It
phase
was
2.
15,000.
But they were supposed to give us 99,000, they only gave you 68,000,
68.
so they already shorted us 20.
33.
They did, they shorted us
31,000.
They shorted us 31K.
Right.
But this portion for the staff recommendation has been completed.
The first,
This is
third, or the second?
68K. First phase.
They didn't even give all the money they were supposed to.
I get that you can give all the money they're supposed to give, but we're at a point now where the money they should be giving us is 31K. We have the opportunity to collect that and give back the difference, which is what we would be giving back anyway. You're sort of
So if
moving.
we had the 99,000 to begin with, there'd be interest collected. Accrued.
Sure.
So what would 33,000, the interest be on it? That's what
33,000
people
interest,
want.
at like 4%, it'd be like $132 a month. It's not.
I mean,
So much I want, you know.
No, I mean, those guys.
I get $100 a month on 20, so that at 99, that's a lot of money.
no, I'm trying to think.
It's a lot of money, sure.
Yeah.
I'm just, you know,
Right?
So Greg Pettis is here, he was involved in the project and can maybe shed some light.
Yeah, so,
welcome back, Greg.
thank you. Greg Pettis, engineering. So, it's my client, Graylock, that was involved in the permitting. I don't think they shorted anyone $30-something thousand. I think if someone had said at the town level, hey, you shorted us 30-something thousand, they would have worked it over. You know, they're not in the business of worrying, I shouldn't say worrying about 33,000, it's a lot of money to all of us. But you know, compared to the price of what they did over there, so I think it's reasonable that whatever money is the difference, interest or no interest, I'm not sure how that all works. But I think that's a fair, compromise of kind of what the staff, I think we agree with the staff, what the staff's recommending. I guess is the point. I don't think we should, so I don't know whose fault it is. I don't know if it was our fault, we're getting the money. I don't know, I truly wasn't involved in that part of it, but I think if the town had asked us for 99, we would have given them 99. If they asked for 68 for phase 1, we would have given them 68. Should we have given them phase 2 and 3? It sounds like we should have, but we didn't. For whatever reason, I don't know why.
Has the applicant indicated when phase 2 and 3 are gonna be started, completed? Like how long are we?
I can probably answer that. That's anyone at this point. So they're awaiting the proper tenants in order to build. Times are kind of, you know, with COVID.
Yes.
Through COVID to here we are today. Yes, they have a good Big Y's doing great. Starbucks, I think, is doing great. The furniture, you know, that building, everything's good, but they don't want to just bring in anyone to bring in anyone. That's not going to be there for the long term. And so I don't know. We don't know at this
I think it's important to note too, that the other pad sites, sediment and water isn't sort of just going anywhere or traveling off-site or migrating toward wetlands. The hotel sort of pad site that was sort of built as that space is essentially a bathtub. There's a large berm that runs the entire length around it, and there's a low point that kind of comes and looks out. There's a where it's collecting some water, and so there was some stormwater improvement requirement there, and then there's another basin that was done on the far edge of that pad. The other pad, again, there's no open edge that doesn't have sediment erosion control protection or grading to at least keep the sites contained. They don't have vegetation, they are not stabilized, you know, sort of officially, and not even with temporary cover, that would be what anybody would sort of say, okay, this is a stable site, but they're contained. And so, you know, there's not.
And I think the front pad sites are low density.
Yeah, you see, you'll drive by and see the big grass areas, so.
And my understanding from it was, because I didn't, I mean, obviously the engineers did the bond, but that they were gonna do it as the phases went on. So phase one, they paid their bond, and then when they began phase two and began phase three, because I remember having discussions with the previous town planner about where are they in phasing? Are they started to, they started, so I think that might have been part of the reason why the money wasn't here. I don't know.
When they went out of order too, they changed their phasing.
Some pieces changed slightly over the years. I think, the other part of the conversation about trying to calculate out interest rates and what the town, you know, I wouldn't recommend doing this at that level without some kind of input from the finance director and kind of working through a more formal, here's how the town holds money, because that I'm not familiar with in terms of what our return may be or how we, either cash bonds the town is holding. And so
The interest back to the.
Yeah, so it's not, so that's not the same, so I don't think that conversation is necessarily.
It's not really in our purview anyway.
Right, and because the sites are performing as they're at least contained, even if not permanently stabilized. It's not as though you have a need or desire of this today to say, we think we need to go out and do something to cash this bond and go perform something here. They're sort of in a holding pattern. So there's no impact to wetlands that we could discern on site, even with those open pad sites. So keeping the numbers consistent with what was originally approved seems to make sense.
So hypothetically, if they gave us 90,000. They would be getting back.
68,000, and you would be retaining the 31,480 for those other two phases anyway. So that's the number you'd be retaining, whether they'd given 99 at the beginning or now is the same if you go with this plan.
Okay, so how much are you recommending?
So I'm recommending no more than 36,752 be released and 31,480 be retained.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what does everyone think is okay, keeping some, releasing some?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, I think we're all on the same page. So they'll make a motion to return $36,752.
You're actually reducing the bond.
Greg, should we make the check out to you?
Yeah, I can read it. That's all right, I will,
The bond.
Sherry, tell me if I did this right. I'm gonna make a motion to move the phase one bond portion of 15,367 to phase two. Move another 16,113 to phase three. Return the difference of the $68,232.
So it's gonna be returning 36,752.
And retaining 31,480. Yes, per the recommendation of our town staff.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, wait a second.
Mike seconds. Discussion? Everyone's good with keeping some money, returning some other?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same? Okay, thank you guys. All right, item agenda number 5. This is going to be the deliberation for IWC 23-4. This is 56 West Shore Drive. Jensen Jar is the applicant and owner. This is for application for regulated activities within 0 feet and 100 feet of the inland wetlands or a water course. This is for stone retaining wall, 16 feet by 3 feet by 16 inches wide, gravel parking lot, stone steps, a dock, a deck, gravel parking area between the road and the house, stone paver patio, 2 stone walls. It's gonna be assessor's map 14, block 4, lot 14 in the zone R30. So if you guys remember, we held a public hearing last month. We opened and closed it. We took applicant testimony, number of members from the public, their spoken and written testimony are now all in the record. And tonight is deliberation and it's eligible for a decision.
Scott, before we go into that, Larry missed the public hearing. So we need to ask him.
So, yeah, were you able to listen to the recording from last meeting? So you missed the public hearing.
I missed it, yeah, I did.
Okay. So I would abstain from voting
Okay.
tonight, since you weren't present
I was
during,
on the sidewalk originally.
you were.
Okay.
But just because you didn't attend the public hearing,
Right.
you should abstain from it.
Okay, very good.
So I guess, you know, we can discuss amongst ourselves in open public how we feel about this application, the testimony that was given to us. And then we can come together to make a motion, either approval or denial. So I guess, I'll start with you, Eddie. What do you?
You want
about this
to,
application?
I feel like. He unbeknownst to him, probably bought the house, he spent a lot of money redoing it. And, the septic is what people are complaining about, but he put a lot of money in that house, and he's not. With Larry's recommendation that he doesn't drill into the stone and thing, he's following our recommendations, you know, so, I mean, I don't think you should penalize witness him and tear the house down, you know. So, I mean. And then the about that floating dock. It's not really, it's not doing any damage to what he's putting on this floating dock, it's just like, you know.
Yeah, anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I feel for all the parties involved, of course, and obviously we had some passionate people here last time, but for the action items within our purview. I didn't see anything that was a clear, that would be clearly detrimental. So
I agree. I mean, I'm sympathetic to the community. I agree that this house and the septic were built over the property line, same with the deck. But you know, unfortunately, that's outside our purview.
Yes,
I agree. My one concern with the application was with the gravel parking area, making sure it doesn't include removal of the septic, so if the septic was ever needed to be replaced and placed within their property lines, that the work that they're doing under this permit wouldn't preclude them from doing that, which it doesn't sound like it will. So if they ever come to an agreement where the septic eventually needs to be replaced and removed and put on their site, none of the things that we're permitting under a permit will stop that from happening. Otherwise, you know, I feel like the application was materially complete. I feel like their improvements are going to stabilize their backyard better than it is. I mean, it's currently kind of ripped up. You know, I personally like how, you know, they didn't make the whole site impervious. They're using a lot of gravel. So they're not gonna really create much additional runoff than the site's already generating. So I didn't find any issue with it meeting our regulations. Great. Anyone else?
There's a commissioner I just want to see before I give that recommendation.
Larry could talk about.
Sure, he could deliver. Oh, he's here.
I don't think he's permitted to, Larry.
He can be involved in that, he can't vote.
You can ask questions and then.
Yeah, you can discuss in the
Yeah, you
deliberation.
should discuss the deliberation.
Right. Well. You know, I'm not exactly sure where the septic is on the property, but I do know, you know, there's a lot of different things that have to be addressed over there, but it is an existing structure. And they are putting money into it. They are trying to do the right thing, and I think the architect's trying to do the right thing. As far as my only concern is with the stones, like Ed said, you know, it's nice if you could drill into things, but let's say 100 years down the road, when they're all dead and gone, there's these beautiful boulders that are chipped up, and there's holes drilled in them, you know, and so that's the whole, you know, issue, but I think they'll keep it concealed enough and down toward the bottom enough to where I don't think it's gonna affect it.
We're not, we told them that they can't drill it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they removed that.
Don't drill. Yeah, I'm just, we talk about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if there is some cement or something, like.
Nothing
at the
with that.
bottom, I think
Yeah.
you drill into that, you
Nothing.
know.
Yeah, it's nothing
Right.
permanent that can't be removed.
Nothing into that.
Good, but you discussed it, that's good. As far as the dock goes, it's fine, you know. Affect a lot of life, you know. After about 40 years, I think. The nice, you know, and we do the right thing.
If the commission is in a position to consider a draft motion of approval because of the complexity of this and the finding of significant impact and some of the alternatives proposed, staff has prepared a draft affirmative motion for your review, which Kathy can pass out. What we've tried to do, and again, this is for your consideration. It's something to talk about. It is not an indication of your vote. It is simply a place to start a conversation. But what we've tried to do is lay out a series of potential conditions based on the information discussed and presented in the public hearing, combined with the general conditions you normally put onto your permits. And then to come up with a series of findings, again, to make it very clear which provisions of the regulations have been met, what alternatives have been presented, and whether they were adequate. So again, tying this back to wetland impact, and then talking through what is and isn't the commission's purview, again, to try to make the record very, very clear. So conditions, we've suggested 11 potential conditions. Again, some of them are your general conditions, and for the benefit of the owner and the attorney in the audience. Prior to the start of work, we will want the plan to be updated to show the clear boundaries of the final ground surface material that would be installed on site. Folks, we're talking about where the gravel and the grass begins, the boulder areas and stuff. So getting that plan finalized before work starts. And the limit of the placement of the gravel should be shaded, and grassed areas should be noted on the plan. Gravel size per the applicant's engineer shall range from 0.75 inches to 1.5 inches in size. Work, as was discussed in the public hearing, would need to take place from the landward side of the property and be conducted by hand. A wood barrier no larger than 8 by 8 inches would be placed on the southern side of the property to keep gravel from being displaced and moving down slope to Boulder Lake. Prior to the start of work, written permission from the town to encroach on the West Shore Drive right of way would be obtained and provided to the WEO. And if it's not, if that permission isn't granted by Public Works for those walls, the driveway walls up front, then that part of the project could not be built. No later than 2 weeks prior to the commencement of any work, the permittee shall submit to the Clinton Inland Lands Commission the names and addresses of contractors employed to conduct the work. Again, this is one of your normal conditions with the expected start and end dates. Prior to the start of work, the permittee would give a copy of the permit to the contractors and anyone who would be carrying out the activities. Prior to the start of work, the WEO would be invited to inspect all ENS controls. Final installation would sort of run through Kathy. Number 9 is the posting of the sediment and erosion control bond, and whether or not that is something you are looking for this particular project. And if it is, we would ask you to set it. Permittee would not deviate from the reference site plans or make de minimis changes without the prior authorization of the Wetlands Commission or WEO. And on or before 90 days after completion, the authorized work permission would have to submit as-built and whatnot. So pretty typical stuff, and all tied to the stuff in the public hearing. The draft motion would be to approve with those 11 conditions, provided you set a bond amount. And then the findings just sort of crystallize what was on the record and make clear what it is that you're voting on. So the public hearing is held in accordance with section 9 and the general statutes. The application as conditioned would result in a negligible impact of wetland resource areas. Applicant has confirmed that the project will result in no additional flow of water to Boulder Lake as compared to the previous condition on site that their engineer stated on the record. The applicant provided a reasonable and prudent alternative to the construction method for the stairs leading from the property to Boulder Lake by modifying construction plans to eliminate permanent alteration of the existing boulders along the shoreline. So that's the pending issue that was modified with a new proposal, and the revisions were shown on the record plans dated August 20th, 2023. Construction of the engineered fieldstone wall along the bank of Boulder Lake will protect reasonable use of residential property by reducing potential for erosion and sediment into Boulder Lake, and also potentially undermining the deck structure over time. Installation of gravel underneath the existing deck will stabilize soil adjacent to Boulder Lake to reduce the potential for sediment to enter the lake while preserving the permeable surface to allow for infiltration. Walls shown on the plan extend into the right of way of West Shore Drive, and again, that ties back to the need to get town permitting. The Inland Wetlands Commission received public comment on this matter. Public testimony received concerning property boundary disputes are not within the Inland Wetlands Commission's jurisdiction. Public testimony received about septic system is not within the Commission's jurisdiction. The application was reviewed by CRAD and it approved the 100-day for the district is included with the record documents. So again, just trying to parse out what is in the record, what is in your purview, what they've met relative to the wetlands law, and then conditions to make sure it all follows. They're not wordy, but given the level of public interest, I wanted to at least give a little support around that.
No, I appreciate that, Addie. That's clear and concise. That's everything that we discussed.
We will set the bond at.
So I was gonna recommend $4,000. They're pretty much disturbing most of their site. So everyone agree with $4,000 bond? You feel like it's too much?
No, it's not.
I'd go medium.
Medium would be 2,000. What do you think? This doesn't account for inflation either. 3 years ago, so.
I don't know,
Take it up.
they spent an awful lot of money
It's
already.
a lot of money.
2,000? You guys do 2,000? Or what do you want?
Yeah.
They're gonna complete it.
Yeah, they're
It's
gonna
something
complete it.
to make sure that it gets done.
Yeah.
In a timely fashion.
Yeah,
Okay.
2,000 is fine.
All right. So Mike, if you don't mind, would you read this motion on the front and the back page? Yeah, but we've got to read it too.
Could you do it, Mike?
So sorry, I didn't say, not really. Yeah. You want me to? I'll read it.
I'll read it, I don't care.
And then as you're preparing to make a motion, we just want to disclose for you that we did receive correspondence from folks in Boulder Lake after the close of the public hearing. So that can be provided to you as correspondence after what's going on here, but it's not part of the record, it's not part of the hearing. So we just want to make sure it's out there. They did provide it.
I got it.
I don't care. Okay.
All right.
All right, I'll read the front, you read the back. How's that? All right, possible conditions. Prior to.
You gotta do the draft motion. Start with the motion
Draft motion.
and then read the conditions.
Okay, I move to approve IWC 23-4, 56 West Shore Drive, as shown in the plans entitled existing conditions plan, prepared for Jensen Jar, Bashura, Velez, 56 West Shore Drive, by Doan Engineering, dated 6/27/23, but today is, we're going by this date, October 3rd, 2023.
No,
So that was what the application was provided for. August 20th.
It revised to 8/20.
Yes.
Okay, 2023. The conditions 1 through 11. They adopt the following findings. Prior to the start of the work, the plan shall be updated.
No, the findings.
Yeah, you gotta read the 8 findings
Okay.
and then go to the conditions.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of reading.
A public hearing on this application was conducted in accordance with section 9 of the Clinton Inland Wetlands Regulations and Connecticut General Statute. The application as conditioned will result in negligible impact to wetland resource areas. The applicant has confirmed that the project will result in no additional flow of water to the Boulder Lake as compared to the previous conditions on site. The applicant has provided a reasonable, prudent alternative to the construction method for the stairs leading from the property to Boulder Lake by modifying construction plans to eliminate permanent alteration of the existing boulders along the shoreline. These revisions are shown on record plans revised through August 20th, 2023. Construction of proposed engineer field stone wall along the bank of the Boulder Lake will protect the reasonable use of the residential property by reducing the potential for erosion of sediment into Boulder Lake, potentially undermining the deck structure over time. Installation of gravel underneath the existing deck will stabilize soil adjacent to the Boulder Lake to reduce the potential for sediment to enter the lake while preserving permeable surface material to allow for infiltration. walls shown on the proposed plan to extend it to the right of way for West Shore Drive. At this time, the town has not received a request to locate walls in the town right of way. The Inland Wetlands Commission has received public comment on this matter. Public testimony received concerning property boundaries disputes are not within the inland wetlands jurisdiction. Public testimony received about the septic waste is not within the commission's jurisdiction. The application was reviewed by the Connecticut River Area Health District and an approved B100A. The district is included in the record document. Your turn.
Possible conditions. Prior to the start of work, the plan shall be updated to show clear boundaries of the final ground surface material that will be installed on site. The limit of placement of the gravel should be shaded and grassed areas should be noted on the plan. 2, gravel size shall, per the applicant's engineer, shall range from 0.75 inches to 1.5 inches in size. 3, work will take place in the landward side of the property and will be conducted by hand. 4, a wood barrier no larger than 8 inches by 8 inches shall be placed along the proposed gravel fill parallel to the southern side of the property line to keep gravel from being displaced and moving down slope to Boulder Lake. 5, prior to the start of work, written permission from the town to encroach into the West Shore Drive right of way shall be obtained and provided to the wetlands enforcement officer. Should such permission not be granted, proposed walls shall not be extended into the West Shore Drive right of way. 6, no later than 2 weeks prior to commencement of any work, permittee shall submit to the Clinton Inland Wetlands Commission the names and addresses of any contractors employed to conduct such work and the expected date for commencement and completion of the work. 7, prior to the start of work, the permittee shall give a copy of the permit to the contractors who will be carrying out the authorized activities. 8, prior to the start of work, the wetlands enforcement officer shall be invited to inspect installation of erosion and sedimentation controls. Final installation requirements and maintenance throughout the duration of the work shall be completed at the discretion of the wetlands officer. 9, posting of the erosion and sedimentation control bond in the amount of $2,000. 10, permittees shall not deviate from the referenced site plans and shall not make de minimis changes without the prior authorization of the Clinton Inland Wetlands Commission, the wetlands officer, until the authorized work has been completed. 11, on or before 90 days after completion of the authorized work, committee shall submit as-built plans. And statement.
Okay, so that's a motion to approve. Do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Mike Florio, seconds. Any discussions? No, okay, all those, should we do a roll call vote?
Yeah.
Edward Alvarino,
Aye.
Michael Florio,
Aye.
Bertram Schmitz.
Aye.
Ryan Tardisel,
Aye.
Scott Harley,
Aye.
and Lawrence Edwards.
Abstain.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Jar.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. All right, thank you, everybody. It's a good public hearing. All right, we'll move on to item agenda B, staff reports, wetlands officer report, complaints and violations.
Okay, so, for 15 Baxter Road, I did receive the asphalt survey, about the wood chips, and that's been, closed, so that's done. 0 Blaine Avenue for Mr. Goodrich, I did ask for an as-built conditions on that, and I'm waiting to hear back. I want Rich Snarsky to review it, since he was the one who set the remediation plan into place, to make sure that the outcome is what he had anticipated and that it all meets his satisfaction. 11 Killingworth Turnpike, when Abby and I were out doing our sidewalk last week, we walked the wood chip path, which is part of the amenities of the site, and it's very squishy. They didn't use the wood chips. There were wood chips on the path, and I walked it in the past with Rich Narcissus. I've been out that site many, many times. But this time it would twist your ankles. So I contacted Cheryl Turo, who works for the staff at Graylock. Said coincidentally, they were working with their landscaper, so I went out there today and I walked the site with her and the landscaper. And he's gonna start working on the wood chip trail this week. It needs to be weeded, there's a lot of prickers. There's also one section where the water can come right from the top all the way through to the water with no stopping. So he's gonna put some rocks in there to kind of filter it a little bit. And then he's gonna pack down the wood chip. So he's gonna contact me next week so I can go out and take a look and see how he's progressing with it. And just also 32 Old Knott Road, I got invited, Abby and I went out to visit Mrs. McGrath, who had a permit to, well, actually, it was not a permit, it was deemed a non-regulated activity. For the beaver receiver at Old Knott Road, and I have some pictures, I'm gonna send a report to you, it's working beautifully. You can see a section of the water where there's no ripples, and that's where the cage is. And then, there's the pipe and the water's flowing through, and she said they're very happy with it. And the area where we're standing, she said had been flooded, and it wasn't that at all.
Just out of curiosity, whatever happened to the beaver dam removal off of Liberty?
So the last thing that happened with that was the, Clinton Land Trust said that they would take care of doing some kind of a beaver deceiver thing, but they didn't really have the expertise. They were just gonna go in there and put in a pipe, but they didn't have the proper training to know exactly how to do it. They had contacted us and they, everyone approved it, they went out and did something with it. And then I guess it made things a little bit better. I've been in contact with Brian. I haven't talked to him a while, but no one's contacted me since.
Okay. I was just curious to
So-
see if the remediation actually worked.
Yeah, I haven't heard back from him at all.
May I say something? According to, Bob, Cameron, he said that the beaches are back. It's all flooded again, it's a mess again.
If
So-
he wants to, or I'll contact him about the beaver receiver.
It's up to you, Cap, I'm just letting you know, I mean,
I'll send him an email. I'll reach out to him.
it's just, and the devastation that these beavers cause all the way up to Elliott is unreal. What is it, a half-mile swath, Cap? Mile long?
I don't know exactly. The last plan I saw was the one that we had.
Seriously.
Because the Clinton Land Trust originally took responsibility for it and said they would take care of it, but then they found out with pin the things that it wasn't really on their property, but that they still were willing to do it. I think it really boiled down to cost, although the beaver receiver program does have a grant program with it. Because I know Mrs. McGrath was using some of that for me. So they can certainly apply for grants. I think it also depends on where it is located, because you have to have the permission of property owners to go onto their property to install the pipe. And, all of that kind of thing as well. So, but I'm certainly happy to provide them information about it.
That's where I'm trying to get my neighbors to sign off on it. It's crickets.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I appreciate that, we got that land trust file. I know it took a long time.
Yeah, well, I think that the thing is that the land trust, I had a lot of last year anyway, not this year as much. Had a lot of contact with them because we had a lot of violations. People were concerned about a land trust property like ATV use and things like that. And so in this instance, they really wanted to help. But again, it was, whose property everything is located on and who has rights to what, and that's a lot of it. But I'll pass on some information to Mr. Campanaro, where I have his email.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item agenda number 6, correspondence. Is there any additional correspondence for tonight's meeting? I guess,
The letter that was received concerning 56 West Shore. So Sherry's been having a distributor, we can email that out to folks.
you just email it to us so that we can read that correspondence.
Yeah.
Item number 7, old business. I don't think there's any old business to discuss. So we'll do item agenda number 8, new business. We need to review and approval of the annual report for 2022 and 2023. I did not look at it.
Okay, I didn't see, I was waiting for you to.
Okay, can we table that to next month's meeting?
Yeah.
Let me review that.
You don't wanna do a special meeting, we'll do that.
Yeah, we can do that after the.
When you're having a special meeting for Jefferson, you can do it at that special meeting.
Yeah, afterwards, yeah,
Or can we just add it to the November agenda?
yeah, no, at the November agenda,
Yeah, when it adds
after the public hearing.
And feel free, you wanna add something too.
Yeah, let me actually review it.
Yeah,
Chance
and
to
here it comes up with all the figures for you,
For you
the
to-
meetings, the applications, but there's a narrative portion if you wanted to add anything on behalf of wetlands.
I'll put on.
Feel free.
Okay, additions to, so next month's meeting is gonna be on the 14th. Regular time in here, right?
Yes.
Okay, anything that we want to add to that agenda? Okay. Think so, okay. Chair's comments, I don't have any comments, so with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting. Oh, sorry.
Point of order, Tanya, resigned,
That's right.
so I asked Larry if he'll move up, and I went to the clerk to find out where he's sick, and he is next in line, so, we're gonna have, besides Mr. France not showing up, and, you know, I know you went through it. Nori, so, I'm just saying, if you make contact with him, if he resigns, but if he doesn't resign, we're gonna have 3 vacant alternates. So
And one regular seat.
one regular seat, but he's gonna fill out, but he'll fill out, he's the only one that applied for it, but you have to wait 30 days.
Yeah,
Before you can, appoint. 30 days,
it's
so.
gotta be open for 2 weeks before someone can say
Actually,
they want to
okay,
be in there, and it takes 30 days to actually.
Yeah, 30 days,
Bring it
he's
up.
got a 30-day wait, so he'll be on the agenda for town council. The next, in 30 days.
Okay, town council's got to appoint.
Yes, they appoint him, they'll appoint him, but he's the only one up for it, but I mean, if anybody knows anybody else.
We're trying.
We're moving, I mean, huh?
We need some alternates.
We need small ones.
Yeah, can we do that now?
Yeah, you couldn't do that.
Oh, well, can we do that on the chairs? Do I need to add in that item agenda to?
What do you ask?
So we can make a recommendation as a
Commission.
commission to have town council appoint Larry. So that he doesn't have to say it on his own word.
Yeah, he's all, you wrote
I wrote a letter,
a letter to Mary,
and
and then I talked to Mary said, it's a 30-day wait, but it'll be on the agenda, I talked to Chris.
Okay, well
And
then,
I also went to the clerk to advise.
but our commission can also endorse it as well, so there's.
Yes.
So do we need to do that by motion or do we do that by consensus? That doesn't need to be enactable.
It'd be nice for a letter from Sherry or Kathy or Abby.
You could say by consensus, the commission endorses Larry's candidacy for this.
As long as consensus, I can draft. something.
Larry, can additional opposition to your.
Yes.
maybe not.
All right, just real quick, show of hands, are we good with?
Yeah,
recommending Larry?
he's-
Okay,
he's
there we go.
Big,
So by consensus, the commission recommends Larry as a full seat member.
Yes, that should.
So, Mr. Corsi, are you interested in joining the Wetlands as an alternate?
I told you I was gonna think about it.
Well, I'm putting you on the spot now, but so, we would love to have you. So everybody.
I told him I was gonna think about it.
I submitted it to this and P&Z.
No, no, we just
Gotta get the car, get over there now.
So I'll just take a motion to adjourn.
I like motion for adjourn.
A second.
Second. Anyway, Bob, why don't you join?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Why don't
everybody.
you join?